Hello, everybody. Welcome to Oh, What a Marvel. This is the WandaVision spoiler review show featuring me, Dean Vision. And on my right, we have Sean. Hi, Sean.
Hi, Dean. How's it going? It's been a while.
It's going pretty well. It's been a minute since I've been on one of these. And then underneath me, I think, if it's the same for everybody else, we have Sara. Sarah?
Hi. Sarah. It's whatever.
Sarah.
I like Sara.
Whatever.
It's like, ooh.
We have whatever, and then next to whatever, we have Jay. How you doing, man?
Hello. Glad to be here.
Yeah, being excited for this all day. Since watching the show, it's just like I want to watch the show again, but also I just really want to talk about the show. We're in quarantine. Still, we're probably going to be in quarantine for all of these Marvel shows. And you guys are going to be my crew.
That's a terrifying thought.
Very scary.
Yeah. It's realistic.
How many times has everybody watched the episodes?
I watched
Twice.
the first one twice and the second one once.
Okay.
I just finished rewatching the second one. Well, I watched both.
I've seen them both 3 times.
Stuff. They're short. They're pretty short.
Gotta one up everyone.
It was. I watched it the third time on accident. My mom was watching it the third time, and I was like, "I'll sit down and watch it."
I didn't mean it.
I watched it twice on my own, but yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't take long to watch these. You know, they're like 22 minutes. The credits are like 6 minutes long.
Yeah. I kept thinking there were post-credits.
The second one's a little bit longer.
The second one's a little longer, but the first one is like 22 minutes.
22 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is fine. I think that works really well for the tone of the show, considering you know we are right in with the 50s sitcom vibe, and I think if you were doing 35-40 minute shows with this tone, I think that would be too much for sure. So I think it works. As much as I want more, I think it's probably the best way to do it. And once we've got all 8 or 9 of these, it's going to be, you know, one hell of a Marvel movie. You know, this is the first MCU content we've had in 18 months, more than 18 months.
Really?
I almost cried at the logo. When the logo popped up, I haven't seen the logo, and it's a new logo too. It's got all those scenes from Endgame in it now too. That's awesome. I didn't
even notice that. I was too busy paying attention to the music, which just hit me in a way that I wasn't expecting the music to hit me, and just brought me right back. And it's in my own living room. I'm not in a theater, so you know that's kind of bittersweet. But you know, let's get into it. Episode 1. We got 2 episodes to get through. That's amazing.
Makes sense. I understand now, having seen them, why they dropped 2. I don't think you would have had people hooked off just the first one.
I agree.
No, I think that's especially when
I was hooked after the first.
I mean,
one,
so was I. I was hooked off the trailer. So you know, not to one up anybody, but
I was excited before all of you.
When they announced it, when it was leaked. When it was leaked, I was excited. So
I was excited when I came up with the idea and pitched it to him. Boom!
When I first saw Scarlet Witch and Vision on screen together in Age of Ultron,
I was like, "Oh, the show!"
I was excited for the eventual show 5 years later.
Leave it to Beaver style. It has to be.
The first time that I saw Bewitched, I was like, I can't wait for the Marvel Cinematic Universe to do a parody of it.
Yep.
5 years old, watching that with my nan in my pajamas, thinking this is going to be a great Marvel show one day. Eating my cereal. Speaking of which, though, like these characters, you know, these aren't just new characters. It's not like the Mandalorian, where we're kind of just introducing a new character in the context of the Star Wars. You know, this is characters that we've already got some level of attachment to. So I wanted to go round and kind of, where did everyone first hear about Vision and Scarlet Witch? You know, was it the MCU movies? Was it comics? Was it the animated shows in the 90s? Sean, you want to go first?
Yeah, I've known about them from the comics, but very little. Just them popping up in other people's stuff. And then I really fell in love with them in the MCU. I mean, even though they are in I mean, they're in what, 3 movies, really? I guess Endgame kind of, but
sorry, Vision, you left that one out.
Yeah, but I think they've been one of the more compelling storylines, subplots throughout the MCU. Is their relationship and their romance.
Sure.
So I was very excited for this show, but yeah, I really barely knew about them before the MCU.
Yeah, Jay, what was your first exposure to old purple head and witch lady?
The MCU. I've never been a comic book guy. Not that, I mean, I don't. They just never. They were never my thing when I was a kid. I was I was too busy watching on the Star Wars movies and stuff.
You weren't excited.
But the thing that Vision's cool, whatever. I don't have any strong like attachments to him or strong hate toward him or anything. He's all right. And as far as the character, Wanda's character, that's fine. It's awesome. But what attracted me to her is her acting is just so damn good. She's believable, and especially in this show, you can see they give her range, and so that's what appealed me, or that's what drew me into wanting to watch more of this show, or watch this show. But yeah, I mean MCU for me. Comic books were never my jam.
And Sarah, as a woman, you're just finding out about these characters now. Is that correct?
Well, not like right now, but yeah, the MCU as well. Wow, that's like real.
I know, I love it.
What?
As a woman.
All right,
well, this is a woman-led show, by the way.
Guys,
well,
I'll
argue that.
And it took place. It took place in a time where the woman was the homemaker. So
I will also say they swapped off lead in the credits. The first episode, Elizabeth Olsen was credited first, and the second episode, Paul Bettany was in the credits.
That makes sense.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if they'll continue to do that throughout the rest of the 7 episodes, but
this is definitely Wanda's show, though. I think. I mean, Vision is great in this, and Paul Bettany does some really good work. But I think, based on what we kind of know about the concept of the show and kind of what's to come, this is one. I would say Wanda is the top lead.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I have a really quick question, and I may be about to make myself look really stupid, but who Olsen is one? Who's this other guy that you were saying the name?
Paul Bettany.
Who is that?
He voiced Jarvis.
Are you joking?
Now he plays Vision.
No, because I thought Michael Fassbender was Vision.
No. No, you're joking.
No, I'm not joking. Look, dude, I'm not joking. I swear to God, dude. I mean, all this time, and I'm even when I'm watching this show, I'm like, do you know what? That kind of looks like him, but it really does not sound like him. But I just let it go in my mind.
Wade, what?
All of this time, I've always thought that he was Vision.
Man, he's been excited for this show. Fassbender was 300.
That would be a completely different show. I want to watch that now.
I can't. Vision has been in the MCU for almost 6 years now. You thought it was Michael? Did you think Jarvis was Michael Fassbender?
Yeah. Paul Bettany has been here since day one.
And Vision were related in any way whatsoever.
Did you not watch Age of Ultron?
Michael Fassbender?
I did. I just.
No, you're James McAvoy, Dean.
I like some Marvel movies more than I like others, and I pay attention to some things more than I do others.
Hilarious. You're kid.
No, Sarah's sitting there. She's like, I've been through an hour of him just making up stuff and joking. No, I'm serious. Honest to God, I've always thought that was Michael Fassbender.
Wow.
So that was kind of going on in my mind. Anyway.
To live as
breaking news. Vision is not.
Well, okay, since we're kind of already off the rails, can I ask a stupid question?
Yes.
As well.
I'm going to answer for you.
What did you say? I don't know what you said, but I just need to make sure you guys know. My husband had no idea who Elizabeth Olsen's famous relatives were. Do you guys know?
Yeah.
The only thing I can guess is Elizabeth
and Miley Cyrus, right?
Ashley and Mary Kate. I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah, Mary Kate and Ashley.
My
Are you serious?
No idea, but that was
I didn't really know either. I never thought about it.
Yeah.
Okay. I needed to make sure.
All right.
I thought it was widely
That's my
known.
fault. I take credit for that when I took us off the
Anyway.
rails.
God, Wade,
That's great.
Dude,
That's great.
But to answer your question, Dean, yes, this is Wanda's show. I think we were talking about the Mandalorian a little bit and just how that's like new characters and stuff. I think something else that's different about this show is in the Mandalorian. Week to week, it's very different. You know, this seems much more on track in terms of the story it's telling. Like, I don't see this show ever going and meandering for 3 episodes. You know what I mean?
They're not going to have a side mission to an ice planet for sure.
Right.
I think everything will tie together. It's all setting up something right now.
Yeah.
Which it kind of leads me to think, you know, with the whole 50s sitcom vibe, which I can see, and I've tried to avoid the reactions on Twitter, but it seems that it's not everyone's kind of, I don't know about mixed, but I've definitely seen some people who are not a fan of that. And do you think it was risky with that in mind to do these?
Not a fan of. I loved it. That was the best part. That was my favorite one.
Me too.
This is the riskiest thing that Marvel has ever done in the MCU. This show, they released 2 episodes that were episodes of sitcoms, essentially.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the first episode is more I Love Lucy.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, it's like I Love, and then Bewitched is the second episode. But I mean, like I finished watching them and I was like, oh, like it's definitely like, especially on rewatch, you see they're setting stuff up. Like there is so much to sink your teeth into with these episodes. But on the surface, if you're just like a casual Marvel fan and you just put like, all right, I got to watch these shows and you're only going to watch them once, it's a very risky move, I think. I'm not sure it's going to hit with everybody.
No, because we're all hungry, like we say, we're all hungry for some MCU content. We're like, great, we got some MCU content. Oh, wait, what's this?
Yeah.
Like, you kind of feel like you jump into some heavy, like, action, you know, classic MCU stuff would be the safer option. Like, maybe it would have been the safer option to have had Falcon Winter Soldier drop before this to kind of get.
Wasn't it supposed to?
It was supposed to. Yeah.
That
was going to come first, and then it was going to be. I think we're going to get that action. I think from what people are saying, it seems like what's probably going to happen is we're going to have 6 episodes of kind of 20-minute sitcoms, which are going to be going through the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and early 2000s. And then in the last 3 episodes, I expect those to be more like full length, 40 minutes to an hour, and that's like the Marvel stuff, you know. Nice. But it sounds like we're gonna have to get through these, and I get through is the wrong word because I'm really enjoying it. But I think that for a lot of people, you're gonna have to wade through about 6 episodes of essentially a sitcom series before you get to like the superheroes punching each other.
Yeah,
because when they first announced this show, right, I kind of assumed, like when we kind of started to get a rough idea of what the idea for this show was going to be, I kind of assumed that it'd be a lot more jumping back and forth between our kind of sitcom reality and then like outside what's going on with like, you know, the Earth Prime people with the military or, you know, and all that kind of stuff. But we, barring a couple of small hints, we stay right in there from the get-go.
Yeah.
And bringing my notes up here.
We don't really deviate from Wanda or Vision. Like it's their story.
Not at all.
Until they know what's going on, I don't think we're gonna know what's going on.
No, and we, like you say, we stay from their perspective, which it would be weird if we were kind of doing this perspective or this sitcom tone from a different character's perspective.
I want it from that the wife of the boss's perspective.
Kitty, yes.
From that 70s show, yeah. I want it.
She's from that 70s show. Is that where a lot of people
She's
know
the
her
mom.
from?
Yeah.
I said that as soon as she popped up.
Oh, I know her primarily from Friends. If anyone watched Friends, she plays the wife of Phoebe's brother.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yep.
I forgot.
She was Jerry Seinfeld's agent in Seinfeld, and she was in the ranch. Yeah. She's great.
Her name is Deborah Jo Rupp. Again,
Kitty.
I know her from Friends.
Kitty.
And a couple of other things. Big fan of her. Big fan of her. We're glad to see her, and she fits in this tone perfectly. Not just because she's an older lady, but she really just, you see her and you think sitcom, 70s show, Friends, Seinfeld. It all goes hand in hand. It just brings you back into that mindset.
Everybody's doing a fantastic job of that. Every single character feels like straight out of a sitcom.
Yeah,
but there's something wrong about it. Like,
they've adapted to it so well. It's so it's such a specific way to act, and they do it so well.
Am I the only one?
The look of the actors that they picked. Go on, Sean.
Yeah.
Yes, I was saying, am I the only one that like felt like I was watching a horror movie? Like instantly,
Yes.
as soon as the show started, I was like, this is wrong. You guys are not supposed to act like this, because we have the experience with Wanda and Vision, and just from jump, everything feels so wrong. I mean, not in a bad way, but just I'm like,
so wrong, it's right.
I'm like, okay.
I didn't really remember much about Wanda and Vision, which, good for me, Disney Plus put out a thing called Legends, where they did a recap of Wanda and Vision for people like me that were like, oh, what's going on with the two of them? I remember he died, but I was like, I don't remember the relationship. I don't remember ever really...
In Infinity War.
Spoiler, I guess.
Dude, I've never seen Infinity War or Endgame yet. I was about to do a big bit.
You lie.
That was a lie. But seriously, that has Michael Fassbender ever been?
But anyway,
he was Magneto.
Yeah.
Technically,
that was Paul Bettany was Magneto.
Paul Bettany was Magneto. Paul Bettany's in. How did you not? So wait, okay, hang on. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to go back to this. Did you also think Michael Fassbender was in Star Wars? Because Paul Bettany's in Solo.
I've never thought he was in Star Wars. No,
but Paul Bettany looks identical in Solo to how he looks in the MCU.
Wait, is he is he Kira's boss?
Yeah,
yes, he's Dragon boss. Yes.
Boom. Okay, now I'm starting to.
He's also in A Knight's Tale, which is one of my favorite movies, and Master and Commander, and Priest.
Da Vinci Code.
Da Vinci Code. Just watch that one.
And Priest. Oh, holy shit! It's all starting to come together now.
He's the roommate in A Beautiful Mind, right?
Yes. And he's the
roommate.
Priest.
So I thought that was Fassbender. What? I don't know. What? Hey man, I also thought that was Anthony Michael Hall that was in Cobra Kai season 3. So
I haven't watched it yet. I haven't watched it yet.
Freaking out. Okay, Dean, come on, get control of us.
It's so hard. I don't even know who Michael Fassbender is anymore. I can't host a show.
Get the whip out. Come on. Yeah.
Anyway, back on. So we come in. And immediately, Wanda's using her powers in the kitchen. We kind of set up. She's throwing or moving stuff around the kitchen. We've got Vision walking in through the door. So we kind of just giving everyone a quick recap of their powers, which is great. But it's a really good comedic effect as well. I love the shot where he's bringing her up to the doorstep and he carries her through the door and he leaves her on the other side of the door. There's so many great little gags like that in the show.
Really dark. Like
it's also it's very dark.
There's a joke where Vision's like, "Oh yes, my wife and her flying saucers," and Wanda's like, "My husband and his indestructible head."
Yeah, I've got that on my notes. That's one of my favorite lines.
That's how he dies.
Oh my god! Wait, I didn't put that together. I was like, "That's a stupid joke. It's not funny."
No, it's there. Yeah, that is totally a reference to the
her flying saucers, like the red things.
Yeah. And
oh wow, I feel really dumb.
Sarah, what about the part where Thanos rips the fucking stone out of Vision's head?
Okay, this is what I was trying to say, is that I didn't really care about Vision or Wanda. Like, I didn't get their relationship. I didn't really care at all. I was really just watching this show because but I'm saying that I think this show compelled me where, like, I love them together. Like, it's really building that, like, they have a great relationship. They have amazing chemistry. Like, it's ridiculous. Yeah. And it made me really care about these characters in just 2 episodes more than the movies did. That's what I'll say.
See, going back to my question at the beginning, I've been invested in these. I've been excited about these characters since the 90s and reading the 30th anniversary Avengers issue where Vision has an existential crisis. Scarlet Witch is moving on away from him, and he's got no emotions, and he doesn't know how to feel about it, or even if he can feel about it. And then cut forward to Age of Ultron, and Vision saves her before the big island on Sokovia gets blown up. And there's this kind of moment between them. And ever since then, I was like, man, if they could explore that relationship, there is so much stuff there. And there's so much stuff in this episode that they hint towards that I didn't think they would ever do. Every time they surprise me with how far they're going to take this. I didn't think we'd ever see Vision on screen. I thought yellow cape, never going to happen. He's green with the yellow cape and the red face. It just does not work. And Wanda having the ties to the X-Men and the mutants and the Fox stuff with the rights. I was just like, there is no way we are ever going to see these two people on screen together. And now, not only are we getting that, but we're getting characters that go deep in the Marvel lore. Enter Catherine Hahn. Okay, is it Catherine Hahn as Atlas? Oh, I love her. Love her from Parks and Rec and Step Brothers. And you know, and again, I don't know her if she's been particularly in any sitcoms specifically, but she's definitely got that look and that kind of that plastic smile.
She's so good.
She nails it. Second she comes in, you just feel like you don't feel like these are actors pretending. Like you feel like this could have been made in the era that they are conveying, which I thought was great, even down to the timing of the laughter tracks and the canned laughter and all, and the chemistry between Paul Bettany and Elizabeth Olsen. Like it feels like they rehearsed this in front of a studio audience.
I think they did shoot some of it in front of a studio audience. I don't know about these episodes, but at some point they've said they did shoot some of this in front of a studio audience.
Or at least some kind of Marvel executive audience, because there's no way they were just letting anyone come in and watch this stuff.
Yeah.
Although, you know, as we all kind of talked about before, there's not a great deal of like spoilery stuff on the surface. Like you wouldn't say, oh, you know, don't tell me about that bit where Wanda's cleaning the dishes. I don't want to hear about it. You know, don't tell me about Paul Bettany filing paperwork. You know, there's no big like WTF plot moments, which I think is great, but it might leave some people maybe wanting a little bit more than what they got. But
if there weren't, as a casual viewer and whatnot, if there weren't hints that something was off and something was not right about what was going on here, then yes, I would have been wanting more. But they did a great job, I think, for casual viewers like myself, to keep me invested enough to want to see the second episode. Then once I saw the second one, it did the same thing, but twofold. So I really, really dug those little hints of like, there's definitely something big that's going to come in the future.
Can we talk about Catherine Hahn for a second again? Because and
how she peed standing up in Step Brothers.
Well, I was gonna say,
oh, Dale.
In this show, does she scare the shit out of anybody else?
I love it.
I'm so constantly on edge when she's on screen.
Yes, me too.
There's something so wrong about that character.
Yes.
It feels like I feel like she's so fucking evil, Wade. I think she is, if not the main antagonist, like the secondary antagonist.
I got that vibe from someone in the second episode. That I got the
who you mean.
The antagonist.
I know. I think I know.
But now I'm gonna have to keep an eye on old girl again when I rewatch him.
It feels like
I'm not a name person.
The little bit we get of her not with Wanda, like if Wanda's doing something else or if she's turned around, she acts like
the male guy.
Yeah, she acts like a completely different person. Like once he's
she eyeballed that male guy hard.
She looks at him really weirdly.
Hard.
And like there's other bits in the second episode where she's kind of not the focus, and she's just so unnerving. And I like it a lot. I think she's doing so good. I think she's evil as hell. I think she is a bad person.
I agree.
I don't know if she came across as evil. I don't know if she came across as evil to me. I think what's kind of unnerving about her is that she seems to be the only person who's really kind of comfortable in the situation that she's in. She kind of seems to be kind of more in control of, what's
Wait, are you okay?
herself and what's going on. He's still thinking about the feeling standing up.
It feels like she knows what's going on.
Yes.
I feel like she's not the only one that kind of.
I feel like
I'm so confused about because I've listened to a couple other reviews and other people are speculating different things, and on the second rewatch I kind of looked at it in a different view, thinking more like, what if other people here are kind of the other characters know what's going on or what exactly is happening, and I'm just confused.
It seems like the other townsfolk, maybe if they don't actively know what's going on, have an idea. I mean, okay, can we talk about the dinner scene? That
was very odd.
It was odd and terrifying when you watch it a second time with the view that they know what's going on.
Yeah, because she looks at Wanda and goes, stop it. And she's like crying,
laughing.
begging. She's laughing, and because it starts laughing and like happy, like, oh stop it, please stop. Like she's begging her to stop.
But it's like she's stuck there, but knows what's going on, but she's stuck in this vision or world that Wanda has going on, where she's like, okay, you can stop now.
Or is it Wanda that has it going on, though? And I'm not meaning to fast forward, but that's something I was wondering that was revealed after a second episode was, is Wanda the one who's doing this?
It's
regarding,
I don't know.
It seemed like she wanted to freak out, but couldn't because they're in a sitcom.
Right.
Yeah.
I didn't feel that. I was more wondering, aside from obviously Wanda and Vision and possibly the Catherine Hahn character, is everyone else actually a real person, or are they just constructed? Are they by Wanda, or are they like mind F by Wanda, and they're actually townspeople who all live in this town, and they've all been like taken over, and they're all in this reality warping bubble that is kind of forcing them to act that way.
Is this a bubble? Is this in her head? I think that's the question that spawns everything else.
I think that it's an actual town, and
me too.
Wanda has created a big bubble. Have you seen Annihilation? And there's the shimmer. It's the big bubble that goes across this. Well, it's a bubble, Sara. It's a bubble, okay? That's all you got to know.
There's a dome around the town, okay?
The dome, a bubble thing.
Will you keep up, please?
Yeah. So there's
I'm sorry, as a woman, my brain just can't process as fast. I'm sorry. Taking me a minute.
Fassbender, really?
I didn't know who it was.
Am I me? But yeah, I assume there's like a dome of like reality warping energy over them, and then outside of that is just like surrounded by like military goons who are like, what the fuck is going on here? We're trying to radio in, we're trying to send people in, which goes to another character. I think possibly,
I did not get that at all. I'm fascinated.
There are 2 instances of people that I think might have been trying to.
Who seem like they've been agents who have been sent in, and now as soon as they get sent in, they get sucked into the reality, and now they're trapped and they can't get out of it.
I did not pick up on that.
Too hard on that because we could get into some really potentially speculative, spoilery stuff, which we'll probably come back to that later on in the episode. I think, right?
Yeah, I want to say I agree with you. I think it's a town that there is a bubble around, and I'm not going to get too far into it until later in the episode. I think there is exactly one fake character in this show.
Right. We'll come back to that. We're going to have a quick promo break. Check out another show that we might have going on the network, and then we'll see you back in a moment.
Hi everyone, this is Sarah, host of Go Get That Rose podcast, a podcast that is dedicated to talking about all things Bachelor Nation. Join Jay Wade, a man in his 40s who is recently new to all things Bachelor Nation, and myself, someone who has been watching passionately for the past 3 years, as we review, share our thoughts on each episode of whatever show is currently on TV, whether that is Bachelor, Bachelorette, or Bachelor in Paradise. We might not even know everyone's name, but we have fun nonetheless. You can find us on Merc Movie Blog feed wherever you listen to podcasts. Oh wait. wait.
Can I just say I love that song? I'm always jamming to the song.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah, and we're dancing every time we come onto that show. We're always getting down.
Yeah. Oh man,
that's the best.
I kind of want to be on the show just for the song. Kind of want to be on there just for that.
Oh yeah,
but you do have to watch the episode we're talking about first.
Or don't watch it. That could be even funnier.
That is the only way I will ever make it on that show.
Okay, Sean. Open invitation for both.
We'll talk about it. We'll see what we can work out. Speaking of commercials, though, there is a commercial within the first or both episodes have a commercial.
Great.
And this first one is for a Stark Industries toaster. That blows my mind because you've got to assume that in the 50s, Stark Industries probably made freaking toasters, right?
Okay, but do you know what's really fucking weird about that commercial?
Go on.
Did you hear the noise that the toaster makes?
It's like a bomb, right?
It made me anxious. I know that much.
When they turn it on, it makes the repulsor noise that Iron Man's suit
makes.
And then it ticks down like a bomb. Yes, it does that. And then it ticks down like a bomb. Do you guys remember how Wanda's parents died?
A Stark bomb.
They were blown up by a Stark bomb. And Pietro and Wanda laid under the rubble, staring at a bomb that hadn't gone off. Yeah.
Maybe for the toaster all along.
I think the commercials are different forms of Wanda's trauma.
Yeah.
With the bomb being the toaster and the watch in the second episode made by Strucker.
It's a Baron von Strucker watch, and it's got the Hydra logo on there.
Yeah.
And Strucker is the one that gave her powers and experimented on her.
Yes.
And he says he'll have time for you. Like, I think those commercials are all her trauma.
Oh,
and I think we're going to see more. I think eventually we're going to get to a commercial that's about Quicksilver's death. I'm saying it now. I think that's eventually going to happen.
Like running shoes. It'll be like Quicksilver running shoes or something like that.
Yes, it will be.
Oh, wow.
And it'll be the commercials that kind of... Yes, the commercials will be the kind of catalyst that start breaking through between the reality barriers. Go on, Sean, what you got?
I would say also same people in both commercials.
Yeah.
I'm not. Yes. I think there's really not a whole lot to that yet. I've seen some people online saying maybe they're Wanda's and Pietro's parents, but I think that's maybe a bit of a far throw, especially if you're ever going to introduce the X-Men, you might find out that there's a little bit of a problem with Wanda's parentage. So
there's a lot of problems with that.
Yeah. So it'd be weird to cast her father for a specific reason.
Yes.
But there's something weird about the commercials.
Yeah.
And I'm very fascinated to see more.
Well, on the I realized it was the same people. I didn't realize it during the episode, but on the when I was checking the IMDb, they're just listed as commercial man and commercial woman, and it's the same for both episodes.
Yeah,
it's got to be significant, right?
Yeah.
Or else they
I
wouldn't.
assume that they're agents from the outside who are trying. They might be the people that are on the radio that we hear trying to communicate through.
Well, I totally know who's on the radio. I recognize that voice immediately.
Can I bring something up right now?
Yeah,
go for it.
Okay, because it concerns the radio, and it also concerns, you guys keep saying, like, you know, as far as like Wanda's doing this, but the radio constantly is someone saying, who's doing this?
Who's doing this?
Who's doing this?
That's why it's confusing.
So that's why I kind of, when I hear that, rather than it being a real town and her making a dome around it, I kind of wonder, is she laying somewhere unconscious on a slab somewhere, hooked up to something perhaps, and someone
That's what I thought
something
at
to
first
her?
too.
I don't know.
But she keeps it going. Like when she breaks at the dinner scene and keeps it, and then at the one part when she tells the guy to go back, she's like, no. Like she's the one that's keeping this going.
Yeah.
So that's why it's confusing where it's like, who's doing this?
I think somebody's helping her.
It could be someone asking her who's doing this, and she is the one doing it, and they just don't know she's the one.
Well, I guess it depends on who the voice is.
It's a version of what Wanda does to Tony Stark in Age of Ultron, where she makes him have those nightmare visions.
Maybe.
And it feeds off of his own fears and then builds a illusion in his head around that. I think that somebody's basically doing the same thing to Wanda. Obviously, there is pre-existing trauma there for them to work with, and it's working in tandem with they're using her own powers against her. So I think it's her powers making the reality, but I think it's under the push of somebody else pushing the button.
Maybe she doesn't realize that it's something bad going on.
I think somebody's helping her.
Yeah, you know what I mean. So she's trying to keep this going because she's like, "Oh, I'm with Vision, and we're figuring this out," but not realizing. But there's something fishy
she didn't have. So let the bad guy. She's more like open to suggestion because it's feeding into things that she wants that she couldn't have or can't have, but now she kind of has. So,
do you want to know who the voice on the radio is? Because I'm 100% sure I know who that voice is.
I'm
and
down.
If they don't, then you can tell me off air. But
I want to know.
You want to know? I am 99.9% sure that is Randall Park. That's Agent Wu from Ant-Man. I know he's in it. That is 100% his voice.
Yeah.
I didn't see. I haven't watched Ant-Man, so
you're not missing anything.
I watched the first one.
No, we can't do this. We can't do this.
I did not like the first one. I like the second one more than the first one, and I did not like the first one.
But he's in. So first of all, he's in it. So that's definitely his voice. I would bet on it.
Unmistakable. Yeah, it's pretty distinctive.
What if it's Michael Fassbender?
Okay.
Right? It could be.
It
with a gun pointed at his balls.
I think the hand. Now this is fucking. This is a reach. The hand we see in the first episode. I'd assume that's Kat Dennings, since we also know she's in the show.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
she's the person
terminal. Yeah.
Who's writing the notes? Because that's a woman's hand.
Yeah.
And we know she's in
it.
So I
don't know what kind of scientist she is, but they're like studying energy readings in Thor and stuff. So if this is like an energy bubble around a town, she might be the expert that you bring in to come and figure out what's creating it. So and she would kind of have that like that technology where she's kind of monitoring the energy patterns and stuff like that. So that makes sense.
Can we talk more about the bubble? Can we talk more about the bubble? Because I got something for you, Wade. All right, I'm gonna
come burst our bubble all you want, Sean. Let's do it.
Blow your fucking mind, Wade. Okay.
All right.
Are you ready? Here's why it's a bubble. Here's why it's a bubble around a real place. This is episode 2. Can we talk about stuff from episode 2? Are we in a free for all right now, or are we still trying to keep on?
No, we can go in. We can go into episode 2. I think we have to.
I mean, the main stuff really comes up in episode 2. Episode 1's kind of setting the tone of what to expect, and
in episode 2, Wanda's alone in the house, and she hears a like something. There's a bang, but before that, there's like a helicopter or something.
Yes, which we come back to it afterwards as well.
Yes, something is flying, and when she goes outside, she sees a toy helicopter with the sword logo on it.
Yes, the sword logo.
I think somebody flew into the town, but when you enter, it seems like when you enter the town, you have to become part of the sitcom. Right, so when we see the person in the bee suit at the end, I would bet that person was in like a hazmat suit or something. entering the town.
Twist it to fit the narrative.
But you wouldn't see a hazmat suit in a sitcom, right? So instead, it turns into the beekeeper suit. I think somebody flew in, but you wouldn't see a jet or a helicopter, like an actual helicopter. So it turned into a toy. And there's a specific character who I think is the person that flew in.
Yes, I think they started off, they probably, because we know it's short, right? Because we see the logo on the thing. We see it a bunch of times throughout. I think even
all
in the first
over the place,
episode, we see the Short logo. And they're basically, for anyone who doesn't know, in the comics, they're like the extraterrestrial space version of S.H.I.E.L.D. But I think what the MCU is doing is they're basically just the replacement of S.H.I.E.L.D. Because this isn't really a extraterrestrial. I mean, it could be as far as they know because they don't know what it is. But I would assume that they started off by sending in some agents. The agents got sucked into the reality. So then we thought, let's try a helicopter. Helicopter got sucked into the reality. So now we're sending in people with specialized suits. And now even they're getting sucked in, but, you know, to a lesser extent because it's starting to kind of crack a little bit. Because it's like Sean's saying, it's very distinctly out of place.
So
for the time.
Do we think that everyone that's in the town are all like agents or part of, or okay? Are some of them like her figment?
Sure.
I think there's one character that is a figment.
I think one of them is a figment. The rest are just regular townsfolk that have been warped into the reality.
So it's an actual town that she like took over, and these are.
Yeah. I think we're going to see eventually. There's a town, and there's a big bubble over a town, and anything inside that town becomes part of the illusion.
So that's why they're sending people in. We think so they can be like, what?
In and it's not working.
The hell is happening?
A helicopter not working. And you got to assume that in the next episode we're gonna see something even bigger get sent in. Maybe at that point they send in another superhero, or they got to up the scale, right?
Crazy.
It'd be cool, and it'd be a cool moment to like get in a cameo or something like that. Although there may already be a super person in there,
maybe.
Or is this a backdoor origin for a potential super person?
What? Tell me. I'm totally in the dark. What's going on?
Okay. Right. Yeah. So let's do it.
This isn't really a spoiler, but
this is not spoiler because we didn't get the third episode, guys. We did not get the screener. Okay. We know nothing apart from comics. We're just sweaty nerds and
who read cast IMDb. Yeah. And we know who's showing up in future movies because of casting announcements.
Yeah, for real.
The actress who plays Geraldine, who is in episode, I don't think she's in episode 1. She's in episode 2.
Episode 2.
She shows up after that little helicopter toy appears inside.
And she, that character is a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent who also happens to be the daughter of one Monica Rambeau from Captain Marvel.
But she's the little girl in Captain Marvel.
She's the little girl in Captain Marvel.
All grown up now.
Who's also a pilot, so she could have well been flying a helicopter for S.H.I.E.L.D. into there. She crash lands.
My mind is like blown right now.
What is like one of the first things she says to Wanda? She's like, I don't know
why
I'm doing here.
She says that twice because they kind of call back to that when she comes out of the box in the magic trick. She's like, I don't know how I got here. So you've got to assume that she's now crash landed in this energy field. I don't know if that's going to be the thing that gives her powers. Because we see in the trailer again. So this isn't spoilers. We see this in the trailer. She's like lying on the floor. Her eyes are all glowing.
Is that in the trailer?
Yeah,
it's in one of the trailers.
It's very quick.
Okay,
it's very quick. We see her. It looks like she's been like thrown out of the bubble, and she kind of lands back in kind of regular reality because it's all like grimy and nighttime and stuff.
Oh yes.
Her eyes are glowing. She's obviously had some kind of explosion. So, which is very similar, like an energy explosion is kind of like how Captain Marvel got her powers. And in the comics, she's the second Captain Marvel or the third Captain Marvel, depending on how you want to look at that. who becomes a superhero in her own right. So we've already got one potentially super person knee deep in there.
Sorry.
So
and
that's not too spoilery.
I got another question.
It's interesting. Go on, question away.
Oh, okay. So, what do we?
I have a question. Ask your question. Oh, who? Me?
I didn't know. I'm sorry. Okay. What about Dottie?
Me who have the question.
Do we think Dottie knows what's going on? Is she just there? Why is the blood red? And that's the only thing we saw.
See, I thought she was gonna be the. I thought she was gonna be the baddie.
I don't want to talk about Dottie. Because maybe, but if the bad guy is who I think the bad guy is, they would be taking a departure from the comics if she ends up being bad guy. I think it's possible.
I don't think Dottie's the bad guy. If anything, I think Dottie is the one that you were saying. Can't remember which one of you guys said it now. Was Dottie? I think he's the figment of Wanda's imagination, possibly, and all the other people are just like mind-effed town folk. I think because she's got a different level. She kind of got a slightly different level of awareness, I think, to the other characters.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's some other characters where powers blatantly get used in front of them and they just don't register it whatsoever. Yeah. But Dottie's kind of on the next level where she's kind of got some awareness. And then obviously you've got Catherine Hahn, who seems to have a different level of awareness, which is different from that. I don't think Dottie's the bad guy or lady in this. I could say who I think is 99% sure the bad guy in this.
Dean, does the name start with an M?
No.
Okay, now.
Oh,
that's interesting.
I think their name might start with an M.
There is some stuff in this that ties into the comics in some really deep ways that could potentially blow the lid off of where the show is going and what we're going to see, or at least kind of what's going to fill in the backdrop. I don't know how much of this people would want to hear. So I
want to hear it all, dude. In my opinion,
non-comic people are like,
then you have watched WandaVision, the show, and if you've watched that, then you're a fan of MCU. I want to know.
And I don't feel like it's spoiler because you're just speculating where you think the story is going to go.
Okay, I'm gonna open this up,
so
guys.
Spill it all.
I mean, we're at 47 minutes now, so we're probably going to do like another 15, 20 maybe. So if you're happy with the spoiler review so far, rate, click like, hit subscribe, all of that stuff. Do not carry on watching this and then click the thumbs down because that would suck. And we're giving you some good stuff here. So Agnes, you ready? Agnes, I think is character Agatha Harkness from the comics.
Oh, yes, I agree with that.
I've heard that.
And Agatha Harkness who's
I don't know who any of these people are.
Yeah.
In the comics, Agatha Harkness is the original witch who's responsible for getting all the other witches burnt because she wants to be like the top dog witch, and she's heavily tied into the mystical origins of the Wanda character and Pietro to some extent, from a place called Mount Wondagore, and she's there. It's kind of, I haven't got the thing right here now, but it goes deep. There's I believe she's Sean. What have you got? You want to follow on from here before I get ahead of myself? I'll go deep.
I think you're right. I think that's who Agnes is, and I think she's probably the main villain of this show. But
yes,
as we
she
know,
seems to be in control more than anyone else.
This show is going to lead into Doctor Strange 2. And Scarlet Witch is going to be in Doctor Strange 2. I think the person that is actually behind all of this, that is doing this, I think it is Mephistos, I think is how you say his name. He's essentially the devil of the Marvel Universe.
They kind of reference this.
Yeah, they said something about the devil.
At one point, the blonde girl goes, "The devil's in the details," and Agnes leans into Wanda and goes, "That's not all he's in."
Yes.
I think the husband she keeps referencing, I think that's Mephisto's.
Yeah, which would be a slight change from in the comics. I think her husband is some other kind of like magical wizardy dude from past years. But I think for the sake of the MCU, we know that we're getting Blade. We know that like Ghost Rider is probably coming down the pipeline at some point. They're definitely going to start tapping into this mystical stuff. And I think this is kind of like the tip of that iceberg for sure. I think maybe it kind of makes sense that you could kind of mix those storylines in and have Mephisto.
Yeah.
If he's not the husband, I think Mephisto is at least pulling Agnes's strings.
Yeah.
In the comics, by the way, here's another tie into some other MCU stuff. In the comics, Agnes is around for the city of Atlantis before it gets submerged underwater, which ties into the Eternals, because Atlantis getting submerged, I believe, happens during one of the comings of the Celestials, who are going to be presumably the main bad guys or kind of driving force of the Eternals movie, who come, thousands of years ago and put humanity through these tests. And there's also a dude who's known as the High Evolutionary, who ties into the Eternals and is the one responsible for doing magic-y stuff on the mother of Wanda and Pietro, which is where her crazy magic powers come from. Here's another deep cut. In the animated intro for they do the Bewitched thing, right? In the second episode. And there's a shot where Wanda's in the supermarket and there's a sign behind her that says Bova Milk. Bova is a character from the comics who works for the High Evolutionary, who helps raise Wanda and Pietro, and then something happens to that character, and then they get adopted by two parents who then mysteriously die later on, which is kind of would fit in with what we know for their history in the MCU, but kind of also would retcon it to kind of set up not only the magical side, but then, the fact of, well, that's not their real parents, they're adopted. That brings in potentially Magneto if they want to go that route. But the origin of Wanda and Pietro, are they mutants? Are they not mutants? That's kind of changed a couple of times over the years. One of the reasons that changed is because they didn't have the rights for the longest time. They changed it away from the Magneto. Yes, they changed it away from the Magneto thing, which we see in the after credits in Winter Soldier, where they kind of, when we first meet Wanda and Pietro. So if you don't want to watch the rest of the show, I understand there's some heavy shit.
And I just thought this was a sitcom.
I got even more. I got even more for you.
Sitcom. Go on. Let's take it another level.
I thought this was just Wanda and Vision. Are you ready? Living out their life. Who knew?
Another level deeper. What does in the second episode? There's some weird fucking shit going on, right? People say for the children.
Over and over.
How many kids do we actually see in the show?
None. I was looking for the kids at the talent show.
Yeah, I was like, there's only adults.
In the comics, one of Mephisto's his plans is to get Wanda's children and use them as weapons. For the children.
He's kind of one who helped create them?
Kind of, yeah. He helps, which for the children, at the end of this episode, now she's pregnant. So I think he's definitely pulling the strings behind what's going on, but I think she's also doing stuff herself. And I'm gonna take it one more level deeper.
Go on.
Because we were talking about who we think the character she's made up is. I don't think it's Dottie. I think it's Vision. I think Vision's dead, y'all. I think Vision died in Infinity War.
I always assumed he was dead.
I always assumed Vision was dead too.
And so when he shows up in WandaVision, I don't I think that is the character that she has created in her head for this.
Yeah, I thought that I didn't say that because I figured that kind of went without saying that he's a con.
Yeah, Sean.
Well, you know what?
I don't know how.
Left. What's happening?
Mic drop. He's out.
Can I?
And that's it from Sean, everybody.
That's it from me. I have some images I sent Wade actually as well.
Do these all pertain to what we're talking about? Yeah.
Not really, but it's more shit.
Oh, yeah.
So look at the left-hand side there, on the wall. You see that? You see that nice little artwork there? You see that nice little artwork on the wall?
Like something painted on the wall.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. Hey, wait, do you want to bring up the other picture?
No.
Oh, dude.
Oh.
That is Baron von Strucker's place in Age of Ultron. Now let's go back to Wanda's house real quick. Let's look at that wall. That is 100% the place.
That is 100%
exactly what that is. That's pretty cool. I didn't think that.
Yeah, that's it, dude.
It's wild as hell, isn't it?
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's fucking crazy.
How did you spot that? I thought I was crazy because I saw the Bova
spotted
thing.
it. I didn't fucking.
No, take the credit, Sean. Take the credit.
Taking credit for that.
I haven't looked too much online because I try not to like look or read too much stuff before I do this show, and then I'll go and watch other people's stuff on it afterwards. But I've not seen the Bova thing brought up anywhere.
No, I haven't seen that anywhere.
Bova milk is in the supermarket in the animated segment at the beginning of episode 2. Bova milk, and Bova works for the High Evolutionary, who helps raise the twins, and then and I thought that was crazy. This guy's looking at paintings on the walls. This guy literally the writing on the wall. You can't even see that. It just
I know, right?
Reflection, like a weird shadow.
I don't know how
something.
anybody fucking saw that. I don't know how anybody saw that, but it was pointed out to me, and I went, "What the fuck?" Also, in that kind of vein, the cabinet, the magic cabinet. I feel like this is probably something more people are talking about.
Some logo stuff on
the logo on it looks exactly like the Mind Stone exploding.
I thought it looked familiar.
Yes.
It looks like the Mind Stone exploding in Infinity.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. Man,
yeah, you know,
I was like,
I see Mind Stones exploding everywhere. You know, it's just like the number 23.
I love the costumes. I'm over here looking like, oh my god, the 50s, the costumes.
Vision in a sweater. Okay,
the hair.
Can we talk about how the best part of all a Civil War is seeing Vision in a sweater? 100%.
Doing the cooking.
The best part of Civil War is that Vision wears a sweater. They brought it back for WandaVision. He's wearing a sweater in episode 2, and honestly, worth the price of admission for the entire series. Just to see him wear a sweater.
Yeah.
I just like that he act drunk because of the gum.
That was
really
so
talk about
funny.
Right.
That was a great gag. So awesome. The gumming up the works, the chewing gum gumming up the works was brilliant.
It made sense. Like the gum would make him drunk. It makes sense. Kind of.
So many jokes written down.
I don't.
Everyone got one. I got one.
I got all the communist jokes really fucking hit me for some reason. When in the first episode, that dude's like, "We don't break bread with Bolsheviks."
Yeah.
Or the other dude in the second episode where he's like, "Norm here is a communist." I don't know.
And then they all laugh. I was like,
yeah.
Oh my god.
I love that. That was my grandmother's piano.
Yeah, that was funny.
There was a masturbation joke in there.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Something about masticating, and the other guy's like, I don't do that. Yeah.
Married men are killing single men at an alarming rate.
They have great, like, the banter back and forth, like just the way that it's written, like it's just so quick, like especially that first episode. It's so fun to watch. Them just going back and forth.
Like you think like those old timey
jokes, that's romantic.
Yeah, you think those old timey jokes were great, really thin, but just the way that, like you say, they're just coming at you constantly, and it just is so snappy, and the chemistry and they're just so well rehearsed, or they just naturally got great chemistry from working together on, you know, Age of Ultron and all the other movies
for years.
The one that for some reason got me hardest is when Vision's drunk and he first shows up to the talent show and he sees the dude walk by in the horse costume.
Yeah.
And he goes, I was just playing with his shoes.
I liked when he walks out after being announced and he ran into the little railing or whatever. He was like, "Oh, I'm sorry." I thought it was so funny.
Like the show, okay, it's so creepy, but it's so funny as well.
It's so funny. Yeah, you wouldn't think that style of humor still works today. Like
it shouldn't, and especially not only does it work, but also, you know, like we've all said, that undercurrent of anxiety that just kind of builds through this episode, that horror, and they're not really doing anything to make you feel that. I think it's just there because obviously we know the history of the characters from the other movies,
and we don't know what's going on.
And because we know this isn't what the MCU is, you know, this doesn't fit anything that we've seen. So it's just a tonal thing. They're not doing like weird jump cuts or like Sam Raimi horror shit or anything like that. You just feel it permeate through. But then I'm still sitting there with the shit-eating grin on my face, laughing at all these character moments and all the dialogue. But at the same time, my palms are sweating and I just feel so conflicted and I just feel wrong. For feeling the way that I feel. I just feel weird and icky, but also I'm just eating it up.
Do you think there's a significance to the color at the end?
Well, we're going into the 70s.
Well,
because 50s.
Other than that, 60s, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean,
because we're getting closer to reality is the way I
probably, yeah.
Okay.
And I think, like you say, going through the motions of the different sitcom eras. Obviously, I'm not so familiar with like American sitcom stuff. Like I know of them, but I only know like I Love Lucy by name. I've never seen an episode of the show, and some of them, you know, I know the bigger ones like Bewitched. I'm more than familiar with. But what would be, if we're assuming that the next episode is the 70s sitcom? What would be the?
I think they said Mary Tyler Moore Show and Brady Bunch.
Okay.
Because I would assume
I don't really
90s.
know.
I think 90s is Full House.
What's 80s?
Or maybe no, 80s is Full House.
No,
and then
Full House is the 90s.
Okay. Yeah. The 90s is Full House. 2000s is Modern Family. Because we've seen there's been a TV spot or two where Wanda is doing the talking head from Modern Family, where she's literally sitting on a couch talking to a camera crew.
Cool.
So it sounds 80s and 70s. I think Brady
Bunch
would be one of them.
Brady Bunch would have to be 70s though, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I think Brady
Seinfeld
Bunch
80s.
Seinfeld's
90s.
Yeah, I don't think they're doing Seinfeld.
If we don't get any Friends jokes in this, like there's got to be some Friends reference in the 90s.
Isn't that like late night sitcom though, or is that still?
I am telling you. We get to the Full House episode. It's going, and
It's going.
Where it's going, they're talking to the kids, whatever. The babies are going to be born at that point. I think we see them in the trailer in the Full House era. And and Vision and Wanda is like, who's that coming up from the basement? Uncle Pietro. He's coming back. Aaron Taylor Johnson is going to be in the Full House episode. That's what Full House is all about, having the uncle in the basement.
You think he comes up and he's all like zombie, and then it starts to kind of go into like that creepy.
I hope not. I want it to be happy and endearing, but it could be really fucking scary.
He's got all the holes in him.
Oh shit, that would be so dark.
Okay, so some 80s sitcoms could be Growing Pains, Family Ties.
Heard of them. Couldn't tell you shit all
Different Strokes. Happy Days. It's Happy Days.
Oh,
it's gotta be Happy. Right.
Yeah, I could see some Happy Days. Like even like the record spin transition thing that they do in Happy Days. I could see that playing in
the Cosby Show. Cheers.
They're probably going to avoid the Cosby Show.
Yeah, I would say you probably avoid that, right? I mean,
they did make jokes about like communists, so who knows what's off the table.
Yeah, and I suppose Wanda getting like mind fucked by a supervillain is kind of like date rape, so you never know. Like we could go there.
Make a joke about how I'm a woman. Make a joke about.
I was about to say, Wade didn't even say
barely
anything.
cussed, and I have not taken us to dark places. What is going on? This episode of this show here is WandaVision within itself.
Is it Paul Bettany or Michael Fassbender? Have we figured it out yet? Does anyone know?
Right.
Oh my god.
Switching tracks. I want to talk about these two kids in a good way, not in a weird way. I'm so excited for this. Again, talking about like stuff that I never thought we would see from the comics, and they have twins in the comics. One of them grows up to be a speedster. One of them grows up to be a magic user, just like Wanda and Pietro. That ties into the Young Avengers. We've got Kate Bishop coming in the Hawkeye series. We've got Kang coming in Ant-Man 3, which that character ties in. He's like Kang's like the main villain of the first Young Avengers storyline, and a younger version of him actually joins the team as well. Which is Iron Lad. And Iron Lad gets his armor from the essentially Vision's dead body. And he downloads the old Vision
We're going
file.
so far right now.
There's so much, man. There's so much.
I just like the humor in the costumes.
There's
man. It's deeper than Bill Cosby's fingers at nap time.
No. All right. Let's wrap it up and get out of here. Let's wrap it up and get the fuck out of here.
Oh, that was so awesome. God, I love that. That was really, really good, Dean. That was good.
They're flashing the red light.
I loved that.
They're flashing the red light over the producer's booth. We gotta wrap it up. We gotta wrap it up.
I see a red light for sure. Okay.
This is my first and last episode of WandaVision. Just kidding.
So, also, there was a Sokovia joke just before we wrap up. On a good note. It's Sokovia, I think, was the joke. We're talking about the breakfast / dinner. That was one of my favourites. And another favourite joke of mine that I wrote down that I just want to get out there before we wrap up is they're talking about abbreviating on the calendar, and Wanda says, "You move at the speed of sound, and I move stuff through the air. Who needs to abbreviate?"
That was so good.
Great writing. Fits the style of the sitcom, and also it's MCU, and just really good example of how they kind of blended it.
I like how he was always asking what his job was too. I thought that was funny. He was like, "What do we do? Like, what is our purpose?"
And then he says, "You're like a machine," and he says, "No, I'm not."
Yeah.
About it.
Great humor.
Man, so much stuff. I don't know how we wrap this up. Really, like, does anyone you want to rate these episodes? We'll wait till next week, and we'll kind of see how they kind of start stacking up in that way. I think it's not really fair to.
I don't know if I can rate the episodes of this show. I feel like
I was not disappointed. That's what I'll say.
Yeah, I was not either.
No, it's not like Mandalorian where every episode is its own thing that you can pit against each other. I feel like we're just telling one story over different parts. I don't know if I could ever rank the episodes. I don't know. Maybe we'll see in a couple weeks.
But this is definitely the best MCU show we've ever had so far. I can say that much.
Daredevil's pretty good.
Jessica Jones is really good. So
no, MCU.
Okay, fair enough.
This is the first MCU show. Is Dan's
from Marvel Studios.
You're out of here. Or maybe he's back. I liked him.
But anyway, that's a whole nother discussion.
Moving on.
Wade's like, I gotta get the fuck out of here.
Yeah,
I got groceries to pick up before we close at 8 o'clock.
Oh no.
What's that?
And I said, Jay's got groceries, and I'm not going to make another Fassbender joke. I was going to, and then I stopped myself. That's a bit, right? That's got to be a bit. You knew it was in Fassbender.
No, I really did. I legit, seriously, I thought that was Michael Fassbender. I'm serious. 100%.
This has been episode 1/2, double for your money, WandaVision, Oh What the Marvel, and we will see you same time next week. Where can they find you guys? You get me at Iron Dean 2099 on Twitter. That's where you'll find me with my funny observations and uncolourful jokes. Sean, where are they going to find you?
On Twitter at Sean_AFK.
Sarah, hit it.
You can find me on Twitter at SSEABOCK. That's SCBOC on Twitter. I don't know what's happening. Oh wait. Are we the Brady Bunch already? We're getting ready for next.
I don't know. Y'all can find me on the Twitter at JWade1134. That's a letter J, WADE1134. And that's me. I was Fassbender for years, like 6 years.
There's the story of a lovely lady. All right. That's it. I'm done.
Guys. We'll see you next week. Peace out.
Hold on. I lost my mouse. My mouse is on my other screen. Hold on.
Next week we will know if it's Paul Bettany or Michael Fassbender. Until then.
No, we won't. We won't
solve this mystery.
All right.
You know, in reality, anything's possible, right?
Yeah.